The hive awakens. The sky above Clithra Prime burned a toxic orange, streaked with jagged shards of frozen lightning. Ruined spires of an ancient alien civilization jutted from the ice, twisted and shattered by centuries of warfare. Commander Jackson, Hawk Rourke crouched atop the crumbling battlement of what had once been a research outpost, scanning the horizon. His breath steamed in the frigid air, mingling with the acrid smoke from smoldering wrecks below. "Status report," he barked, voice cutting through the wind. Lieutenant Mara Vex, perched beside him with a holographic map hovering over her wrist, shook her head. "Sensors show Tyran dread ships in orbit. The fleet's preparing orbital bombardment. They're bigger than we anticipated, 2 capital class, at least 4 dozen support frigates." Rourke smirked beneath his scarred helmet. "Bigger. Better. Meaner. Good. Makes it interesting." His eyes narrowed. Humans had faced worse odds before, and every time, they'd turned despair into opportunity. A sudden tremor rattled the ruins. Ice sheets cracked and fell into the void below. The humans on Clithra Prime had known the Tyran Collective would come. They just hadn't expected Zinthra herself to lead the assault. "Commander," Mara said, her voice tight, "incoming transmission. It's direct." The projection flickered to life. Towering, regal, insectoid, the alien queen filled the hollow with her presence. Multiple segmented limbs curled like whips, iridescent wings shimmered with unnatural light. Her voice was a cold, unyielding rasp that seemed to bypass speakers and resonate directly in Rourke's mind. "No mercy for your kind," Zinthra intoned. "Submit, and your extinction will be swift. Resist, and you will be annihilated." Rourke leaned back, letting out a laugh that cracked like a rifle shot in the frozen silence. "You talk too much," he said, letting the words carry across the ruin. "I came here to laugh at you." Mara's eyes widened. "Commander." "Let them come," Rourke interrupted, scanning the horizon. Tiny dots in the sky, Tyran dropships, were already streaking down through the atmosphere. And when they do, they're going to find out humans don't go quietly. Below, the first wave slammed into the ruins. Tyran shock troops, 6-limbed brutes armored in iridescent chitin, emerged from dropships in synchronized precision. Energy rifles hummed as plasma streaked across the icy street. Humans, outnumbered 5-1, melted into the ruins with the practiced efficiency of soldiers born for chaos. "Echo Squad, left flank," Rourke commanded, vaulting over a fractured wall and firing a precise plasma burst that took down a charging Tyran warrior before it could react. "Use the shadows. Make every shot count." Echo Squad's leader, Sergeant Kellen, grinned, a smudge of frost on his cheek. "Shadows are our best friend, Commander. Watch us dance." They darted between wrecks, weaving traps and using improvised cover. Explosives rigged to jagged metal beams collapsed alien soldiers into ice chasms. Tyran coordination faltered. They had underestimated humans. This, Rourke knew, was his advantage. "Commander!" Mara shouted. "Another drop pod. Bigger this time, must be elite units." Rourke sprinted toward the looming shadow of the pod, plasma rifle raised. It crashed, sending shockwaves through the frozen ground. The doors hissed open. From the black smoke of the landing emerged warriors twice the size of normal Tyrans, blades shimmering with a strange energy. Their screeches pierced the frozen air, a sound designed to terrify, but humans thrived on fear. "Right here," Rourke muttered. He rolled under the first swing of an energy blade, sending a concussive blast into the alien's knee joint. Sparks flew. The monster shrieked, stumbling, only to be met by a second shot from Mara, who had flanked it with her dual pistols. The battlefield became a blur of movement, ice, plasma, and chitin. Every human was operating on instinct, improvisation, and sheer audacity. Tyran coordination disintegrated under the unpredictable tactic. Above, Zinthra's voice cut through comm channels, impossibly calm. "You cannot win, human. Resistance is illogical." Rourke spat into the wind, grinning. Logic is for accountants and coward. I'm a human. He vaulted onto a broken spire, firing down at the retreating Tyrans, letting them taste chaos. And humans? We make our own rules. Minutes, or hours, passed in a relentless rhythm of attack and counterattack. Rourke noticed a familiar formation, a Tyran Dread squad moving to encircle his position. A trap. Ready for some fireworks? He asked Echo Squad. Sergeant Kellen's grin widened. Always. Rourke pressed a series of buttons on a small remote. Hidden charges ignited across the ice, creating a chain reaction that sent a mountain of frozen rubble cascading down on the Tyran encirclement. The shock wave tossed armored warriors like ragdolls, giving humans the upper hand. But victory was fleeting. From the sky, the shadow of a Tyran capital ship blocked the dim orange sun, its surface bristling with weapons. Rourke's gut tightened. This was no longer a skirmish. It was an annihilation campaign. "Commander," Mara said, voice trembling, "that thing could vaporize this entire sector in minutes." Rourke adjusted his helmet, eyes burning with determination. "Then we make every minute count. They may have the numbers, the ships, and the firepower, but we have something they'll never understand." He paused, letting the words hang in the freezing air. "They have no idea what it means to be human." The first chapter of the battle was over, but the war had only just begun. Humans had survived their first encounter with Zinthra, but the alien queen's shadow loomed larger than ever. And Rourke? He wasn't just surviving. He was preparing to make the galaxy remember why humanity was never to be underestimated. Above the ruins, Zinthra's wings shimmered, her presence an unyielding threat. But on the icy battlefield below, Commander Rourke laughed, his voice echoing across shattered spires, a sound of defiance, audacity, and pure, relentless humanity. Defiance in the shadows. Night fell on Clithra Prime like a steel trap, thick with the hiss of freezing wind and the distant roar of Tyran engines. Commander Jackson Hawk Rourke crouched in the skeletal remains of a collapsed research facility, scanning the alien patrol routes with Mara's tactical overlay. Every shadow held potential death, and yet, he thrived in it. "Look at them," Rourke muttered, voice low. "Moving like clockwork. Predictable. Always predictable." Mara's eyes flicked to the holographic map. "We can't outgun them. Not in an open fight. But in the ruins we can hit them where it hurts. Sabotage their supply lines, slow them down. Disrupt their orbit-to-ground logistics." Rourke nodded. "Exactly. Humans don't fight on their terms. We fight on ours. And today we get messy." The squad moved like shadows, slipping over ice-covered rubble, silent except for the whisper of boots over frozen debris. Echo Squad followed, their weapons at the ready, eyes sharp, hearts steady. Humans were predators when cornered, and the Tyrans were about to learn that lesson. A distant flash lit the horizon, another Tyran patrol, scanning the ruins for life. Rourke pressed his gloved hand to Mara's shoulder. "Wait. Watch their formation." The Tyran squad moved in tight lines, their segmented limbs slicing the air as they adjusted to wind patterns. One misstep could expose them, and Rourke's squad was ready. With a nod, Mara activated a series of improvised signal jammers. Their comms crackled and went silent. Tyran coordination faltered. "Now!" Rourke hissed. Explosions erupted from the ruins. Frozen walls cracked, dropping tons of jagged rock onto unsuspecting alien soldiers. Echo Squad emerged, firing with deadly precision, disappearing before the Tyrans could regroup. Every movement was calculated, unpredictable, humanity's chaos weapon at work. "Commander!" Sergeant Kellen shouted from the rear. "We've got a problem. Drop pod inbound." Rourke's eyes narrowed. Larger than the first wave, these pods carried Tyran shock specialists, the elite hunters Zinthra reserved for humans who refused to kneel. "Good. Means they're scared," he muttered, charging toward the shadow of the landing site. The pod slammed into the ice, sending splinters flying. Doors hissed open, and the elite emerged, Six-limbed monsters, larger, faster, and more deadly than anything they had faced before. Energy blades ignited with a hiss that made the hairs on Rourke's neck stand. He laughed. "Bring it on." Rourke vaulted from cover, firing precise plasma bursts, each shot a calculated gamble that paid off. Mara flanked the left side, her pistols cutting down the rear guard. Echo Squad split, luring some of the Tyrans into traps rigged with frozen debris and improvised explosive. The battlefield became a blur of motion, death, and strategy, the humans dancing in deadly improvisation. Even as the battle raged, Rourke noticed subtle anomalies. Tyran coordination was slipping. They were strong, but rigid, too rigid. Humans had flexibility. Humans had chaos. Humans had audacity. A shadow moved faster than expected. One of the elite Tyrans broke formation, lunging directly at Rourke with a blade crackling blue-white. He ducked under the swing, rolling behind cover. "Mara! Now!" She fired a concentrated shot at the alien's joint, sparks flying as the creature stumbled. Rourke leaped onto its back, driving his combat knife into the chitin. The monster screeched, thrashing, but Rourke's grip never wavered. One more human, and one more lesson: never underestimate audacity. Minutes stretched like hours. The cold was relentless, and yet humans pressed forward, each strike measured, each trap precise. They were ghosts, shadows, fire in the ice, unpredictable, unstoppable. But the danger was more than physical. Psychological warfare came in waves. Above, Zinthra's voice crackled through stolen channels, emotionless yet cutting deep. "Your defiance is illogical. Cease immediately, human. Or your end will be absolute." Rourke spat into the wind. "Absolute? Nah. Not today." He kicked a frozen rubble slab at a charging Tyran, sending it sprawling. Humans write the rules now. Suddenly, a new signal came through Mara's scanner. A massive Tyran convocation assembling near the old central data hub. A command node. Destroying it could cripple Tyran communications across the planet, but the path was a gauntlet of patrols and automated defenses. Rourke's grin widened. "Well then. Looks like we're going for a stroll through hell. Suit up, team. Time to remind the Queen why humans laugh in the face of death." They moved quickly, silently, improvising at every step. Frozen corridors became kill zones, tripwires became opportunities, and every patrol that crossed their path found themselves outsmarted, outgunned, and outmaneuvered. "Commander," Mara whispered, pausing behind a shattered wall. "They're on to us. Sensors are spiking. We need a diversion." Rourke smirked. "Already got one." He pressed a detonator. Explosions tore through a nearby structure, collapsing walls and burying several Tyran units. The squad slipped past the chaos, moving closer to the command hub with every heartbeat. Inside the hub, the tension was palpable. Security systems hummed with alien precision, but humans had patience and cunning. Mara hacked the interface while Rourke and Kellen guarded the perimeter. Every second felt like an eternity. "Almost there," Mara muttered, eyes darting over alien glyphs she barely understood. "And done." The system sparked and died, plunging the nearby Tyran forces into disarray. Alarms blared in fractured signals, patrols scrambled, and the humans used the confusion to slip away into the ruins. Outside, Rourke paused to look at the horizon. The Tyran fleet still loomed above, their numbers terrifying, their vengeance inevitable. But humans had struck first, and they had done it on their own terms. "Echo Squad," Rourke said, voice low but fierce. "Today we made a dent. Tomorrow we make them remember who we are. Not pests. Not victims. Humans." Sergeant Kellen grinned, wiping frost from his visor. "And we did it laughing, Commander. That counts for something." Rourke allowed himself a short, hard laugh, the sound carrying through the ruins like a challenge. "Everything counts, Kellen. And trust me, the best is yet to come." From orbit, Zinthra's presence watched them, calculating, furious but curious. For the first time, she noted a troubling variable. Humans were not predictable. They were audacious. They were alive. And they did not fear death. The shadows of Clithra Prime swallowed the humans as they melted into the ruins, preparing for the next strike. The war had escalated, but humanity had reminded the galaxy. Underestimating humans came with a cost. And Rourke? He thrived on that cost. The human edge. The ruins of Clithra Prime were quiet, but not for long. The silence was an illusion, a pause before the storm. Commander Jackson Hawk Rourke crouched atop a jagged ice ridge, scanning the horizon with binoculars. Tyrant forces were massing again, this time with heavier armor, fortified drones, and the unmistakable shadow of a flagship glinting against the orange sky. "Looks like Zinthra's getting serious," Mara said, her fingers brushing over the holographic map. "They've tightened the perimeter. Reinforcements everywhere. If we attack head-on, we're dead before we even fire a shot." Rourke smirked. "Then we don't fight head-on. Humans don't fight head-on. We find their weak spots and hit them fast, hard, and where they least expect it." He motioned toward a cluster of abandoned Tyrant supply depots, half buried in ice. "Start there. Take out their supplies. Cripple their reinforcements. Make them scramble. Chaos favors the bold, and humans? We wrote the book on bold." Echo Squad moved silently, a shadow-blurred force among the frozen wreckage. Kellen rigged explosives while Mara monitored patrol movements, eyes flicking between the map and the enemy. Rourke led the advance, weapon ready, senses taut. As they approached the depots, the first Tyrant patrol appeared, light infantry, fast but rigid. Rourke gestured, and the squad split, flanking the aliens from multiple directions. Plasma bursts ignited the frozen ground, forcing the Tyrants to retreat in disarray. "Not bad for a warm-up," Rourke muttered, ducking behind a supply crate. He could see the convoy lines stretching back toward the flagship. "Take these out and they'll be blind and slow." Mara's fingers danced over the control panel. "Hacking their supply nodes now, okay, done. And I've set a remote overload. One spark and half their convoy is toast." Rourke's grin was sharp and feral. "Good. Humans like it when the universe explodes around us." The explosions were almost immediate. Ice sheets shattered, crates burst into flames, and Tyrant reinforcements scattered in chaos. From orbit, Zinthra's voice crackled through the communication network, cold and precise. "Human ingenuity is noted. It does not matter. You will not survive." Rourke laughed, letting the sound carry across the ruins. "Survival isn't our goal, Queen. Surviving is just the beginning. Humans thrive on the impossible." A shadow detached from the scattered Tyrant forces. One of Zinthra's elite commanders, a massive six-limbed warrior known for slaughtering human squads, moved to intercept. Its energy blades sparked as it charged, faster than the rest, lethal and precise. Rourke met the assault head-on, diving into the fray. Plasma fire lit the ice, sparks flying as humans and aliens collided. Rourke rolled under a swing of a blade, countered with a shot that disabled one joint, and grabbed a discarded shard of metal to drive through the enemy's armor seam. Mara flanked from above, firing two precise shots, and the elite fell, screeching in frustration. "Never underestimate humans," Rourke muttered, wiping blood from a cut along his cheek. But victory was temporary. Sensors picked up a massive signal spike from the core of Zinthra's flagship, a relay node controlling hive coordination. Destroy it, and Tyrant forces would be fragmented. If it remained, the humans would be crushed in the next assault. Rourke's grin sharpened. "That's our prize. Let's go take it." The squad advanced cautiously, weaving through ruined spires and ice-choked streets. Tyrant patrols grew more aggressive, but humans had learned their patterns. Every attack, every movement, exploited rigidity with chaos. Improvisation became a weapon more powerful than their plasma rifles. Inside the decimated central hub, Rourke and Mara worked quickly to access the alien systems. Mara's hands moved over alien glyphs, decoding and overriding protocols in a mix of human ingenuity and raw intuition. "I think I've found something," Mara whispered, eyes wide. "A control node. It links directly to the Queen's hive network. Disrupt it, and the whole fleet could become unstable." Rourke's grin was predatory. "Now we're talking. Humans don't just fight, we outthink, outlast, and outmaneuver." As Mara worked, a Tyran shock unit breached the entrance. Rourke met them with ruthless efficiency. Plasma bursts and precise knife strikes sent the alien soldiers sprawling. Echo Squad flowed around him like a living machine, cutting off reinforcements before they could react. "Node's almost ready," Mara shouted, sweat streaking her frozen face. Rourke covered her. "Do it. I'll handle the welcoming committee." He vaulted onto a control console, sending energy pulses through the frozen metal, electrocuting the closest wave of alien reinforcements. Sparks flew, screams echoed, and for a moment the tide shifted. The node overloaded with a final keystroke from Mara. Alien communications faltered. Tyran patrols hesitated. Chaos spread across the battlefield like wildfire. From orbit, Zinthra's voice was filled with a rare inflection: fury. "Impossible, humans cannot." "Surprise you," Rourke finished, wiping grime from his visor. "Oh, Queen, humans live for the impossible." The squad retreated into the shadows of the ruins, moving with precision as Tyran forces scrambled to restore order. Every patrol, every elite unit, was reacting to a disruption they didn't understand. Humans had created a battlefield on their terms. Rourke paused at the edge of a frozen cliff, looking back at the burning depots and scattered alien forces. "They've got numbers, strength, firepower, but we've got something they don't." Mara glanced at him. "Audacity?" Rourke's grin was sharp, almost feral. "Audacity, ingenuity, humanity. They've underestimated us from the start. And every time they do, it costs them." Below, the Tyran fleet reeled from the disruption. The humans had taken the first real step toward turning the tide. But Rourke knew better than to celebrate. Zinthra would not let this stand. Her wrath was approaching, and the real challenge, the one that could decide the fate of Clithra Prime, was still ahead. "Echo Squad," Rourke said, voice low but commanding. "We've made our mark. But tomorrow we go further. We hit harder. We remind the galaxy what humans are capable of." The squad nodded, moving silently into the ruins, disappearing into shadows that were now their ally. Above them, Zinthra's flagship lingered, a dark silhouette against the fading sun, her presence a constant threat. But on the ground, humanity had proven its edge. Chaos, audacity, and cunning were theirs, and no alien power, no matter how merciless, could suppress it. And Rourke? He thrived in it. Every shadow was a weapon, every obstacle a challenge. Humanity had found its edge, and the galaxy would feel it. No mercy met human laugh. The flagship hung over Clithra Prime like a jagged crown of darkness. Its hull glimmered with alien energy, massive cannons trained on every ruin below. Commander Jackson Hawk Rourke crouched in the shadow of a fractured spire, surveying the colossal vessel. Mara's face, pale in the glow of her wrist display, reflected the magnitude of the task. "This is it," she whispered. "One strike, one shot. If we fail—" Rourke shook his head. "We don't fail. Not today. Humans don't fail." He loaded his rifle, checking every mechanism. "We improvise. We adapt. And we make the Queen remember what it means to underestimate us." The squad moved as ghosts through the ruined city, melting into the shadows. Every patrol that crossed their path found themselves outmaneuvered, outgunned, and outclassed. Explosions ripped through supply depots, collapsing spires, and sending Tyran forces scrambling. Rourke's mind was sharp, every movement a calculation of advantage, every shot a statement of audacity. At the core of the city lay the command node controlling Zinthra's hive network. Destroy it and the entire flagship would falter. Mara led the hacking effort while Rourke and Echo Squad guarded the perimeter. Suddenly, the air vibrated with the unmistakable hum of elite Tyran warriors. They poured from the shadows, larger, faster, and more lethal than ever. Energy blades ignited in a flash, casting long, blue-white streaks across the ice. "Remember, humans," Rourke shouted, "chaos is our ally. Make it count." The squad met the charge with precision. Plasma streaked through the cold air. Rourke dove under a swipe of a Tyran blade, rolling and firing, taking down 2 attackers in a single motion. Mara flanked from above, sending the elite units sprawling with calculated shots. Amid the chaos, Rourke spotted it, the control node. A small, crystalline structure pulsing with alien energy. If Mara could override it, Zinthra's network would collapse. "Almost there," Mara cried. "Just a few more seconds." A shadow fell across them. Zinthra herself descended, wings spread wide, limbs crackling with lethal energy. Her presence warped the air, imposing, cold, and merciless. "You dare challenge me again, human?" her voice boomed, resonating through their minds. "I gave you a chance. No mercy will be shown." Rourke stepped forward, unflinching. "Mercy is overrated. Humans laugh in the face of death. And today? You're going to see why." He charged, firing while weaving between strikes. Every human instinct, honed in the ruins, guided his actions. Tyran elites tried to intercept, but the squad's improvisation and sheer audacity kept them alive. Mara's fingers flew over the interface. Nodes destabilizing now. The crystalline core flared violently, sending a shockwave through the surrounding network. Tyran units faltered, their coordination shattered. The flagship above shuddered as systems flickered, weapons misfiring. Zinthra hissed, her fury palpable. Rourke seized the moment. He vaulted onto a protruding support beam, firing into the hull of the flagship, sending energy pulses into critical nodes. Sparks cascaded down, a cascade of chaos that rippled through the alien command structure. "Humans, impossible," Zinthra muttered, voice trembling with rare uncertainty. "Not impossible," Rourke shouted, grit in every syllable. "Human." The Tyran forces collapsed into disarray. Elite warriors stumbled, command drones malfunctioned, and the fleet above hesitated, frozen by the sudden breakdown. Mara finished the override, severing the hive network. Tyran coordination was gone, leaving the flagship vulnerable. Rourke pressed on, entering the wrecked interior of the ship. Tyran guards met him, but each one fell, undone by strategy, unpredictability, and the ruthless precision of humans. Finally, he faced Zinthra in the heart of her throne room. She towered, massive limbs coiled like serpents, wings unfurling in threatening arcs. "Your audacity will be your end, human," she intoned. "Or your beginning," Rourke replied, lunging forward with a calculated strike. Plasma met chitin in a shower of sparks. The clash of human and alien skill shook the chamber. Every strike Rourke delivered exploited a flaw. The one thing humans could always do that aliens could not: adapt. Each counter was unexpected, each maneuver audacious. Zinthra's attacks grew frantic. The hive network collapse had taken away her ability to predict and control the battlefield. Finally, Rourke found the opening. He drove a plasma-charged blade through the central joint of Zinthra's exoskeleton. The queen shrieked, wings flaring wildly as the hive telepathy faltered. "Humans cannot," she gasped, faltering, her voice a mixture of rage and disbelief. Rourke stepped back, breathing hard, blood and ice coating his armor. "We don't just survive," he said, voice steady, "we fight. We adapt. And we laugh at the impossible." From the shattered viewport, the remaining Tyran fleet began to retreat, uncertain, fractured, leaderless. On the battlefield below, Echo Squad emerged from shadows, battered but alive, smiles breaking through exhaustion. "Commander," Kellen said, wiping frost and blood from his visor, "did we just win?" Rourke looked back at the ruined city, at the shattered remnants of a supposedly unstoppable empire. "We didn't just win," he said, voice echoing across the ruins. We reminded the galaxy who humans are. Above them, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the frozen spires. The alien queen's throne room lay in ruin, a monument to human audacity. And in the distance, a sound carried through the ice, a laughter that refused to die. Humans, Rourke muttered, letting a grin spread across his bloodied face, never bow, never kneel, and we sure as hell never stop laughing. The war had been brutal, merciless, and terrifying, but humanity had endured, adapted, and triumphed. Clithra Prime had survived its darkest night, and the galaxy had learned an important lesson: never underestimate the human spirit. The humans vanished into the ruins, silent, disciplined, alive, and more dangerous than ever. And somewhere, far above the frozen battlefield, the alien queen's fury simmered, waiting for the next audacious move.